Diego in California. She has been a member of technical staff at several companies, including Viasat, Hewlett-Packard, and Bell Communications Research. She's a distinguished lecturer for the IEEE Aerospace and Electronic Systems Society, which is AESS, and she's also a past president of this society. She's a fellow of 𝐕𝒂𝒃 and a leader in the development of criteria for cybersecurity, mechatronics, and robotics. As per her IEEE volunteering is concerned, she has been volunteering for IEEE over decades now. She served on IEEE Board of Directors as IEEE Secretary and Chair of Governance and Director of IEEE Region 6, Western USA. She was also Chair of 2023 IEEE Ad Hoc Committee on Innovating Funding Models. So with her vast experience and contribution in IEEE, we really feel proud to have you as our President, IEEE President-elect, Dr. Kathleen. And as I said, this particular model is a little bit, I should say, unconventional, because we really don't want to have only a session. We really want to interact with you, have a dialogue with you. So I do have a couple of, interesting questions that are there for you. And these interesting questions are non-technical, more on a professional side. You belong to San Diego City. So, and as an IEEE volunteer, we would like to hear from you. How do you see role of IEEE volunteer in development of a city?
Oh, well, that's a very interesting question. There's no question that, so for me, and I also for you, Dr. Surekha, my section is my city. And so a couple years ago, Dr. Ray Liu was the president of IEEE, and his major theme was IEEE is your professional home. And I had already, no offense to Dr. Liu, but I had already been using IEEE as my professional home for some time before that, because my section is it's almost more than my professional home. So one of my earlier contributions as a volunteer was to eventually become the chair of the San Diego section. And so and to this day, my section they are so supportive of me even now, that they will rearrange the section calendar around my travel schedule so that I can participate in events. And the annual awards banquet for my section is each January, and they hold it on my campus, and we'll rearrange it around the board schedule. And so it's difficult, and my university is the University of San Diego. And there are multiple universities in San Diego that have University in San Diego. So it's, I almost cannot separate my city from my IEEE, from my profession. And so in the end, your work has to be local. So right now, here I am virtually. We're speaking to everyone, but it was organized in Pune. Yeah. And you and I were chatting beforehand about how, like, my connections over the recent years, but it's a connection. Yeah, so you are far away, and the result is that, well, I need to go there. Yeah. Because I know so many people of your section, and I've interacted on so many levels. And so we, in the end, everything is local.
Yes.
And I cannot separate the local, and my, you know, my students are local, my companies are local. On the list of companies that I worked at, those were all companies in my city, San Diego, with the exception of Bell Communications Research, where I was supposed to go there. And then I had a sudden feeling that I was not meant to be in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I had to change my mind, and I was supposed to be there forever. And then, but I'm a native, so I don't know if I've answered your question thoroughly enough, but I would say that I honestly do not, I cannot, I don't know where I begin and my city ends.
Yeah, so this is like, the identity starts from local to global,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes,
And,
very much
today we are having this conversation is the best example of connect. It's a
Yes.
city connect. We got connected via cities, via our work, by the virtue of our contribution. So I completely align with your view of starting with local, helping local community, contributing to local is a way to reach global vicinity also. There is
Yes,
a yeah.
I agree. And, you know, if you think about, a lot of times it can be very appealing to a student, say, or to a young professional, this notion of they're gonna change the world. And you know, I love changing the world, and I love my job as IEEE president-elect, but it started local.
Yeah.
And it's, in some ways, I'm a person, I think you are a bit also, but I'm a person that I love to get things done. And so I have my lists, and I'm always checking off lists.
Yeah.
And you really, like, if you start with, I'm gonna change the world, like, what are you getting done? Like, it's all a lot of talk until you do something. And so when you pilot things, you have to pilot them in your section, and then the next level is to reach out and impact more and get beyond the local. So yes, you want to get beyond local, but it starts with the local. And in the end, the more distant you are physically, and we certainly saw this with this virtual interaction during COVID, people are not, they don't feel connected. And so the people that you can rely upon, and that are really going to make, that you're going to make a difference together,
Yes.
they're the ones that you have, that you have a local connection that literally starts in the city.
Yes.
And then builds from there until I feel that I'm local.
Yes.
To, and on, if I'm looking forward to seeing you in person.
Absolutely.
But if you were to look at my computer, what you would find is that I do a different presentation for every locality that I do. And it's not so different, but I'll look for, where are my pictures of that I've been in this location, because you want to make a meaningful connection with individuals locally. And that's how we can act, and that's how we can move forward and really make a difference advancing technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that, by that way, we build our people ecosystem.
Yes.
And I am a strong believer of people ecosystem.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. So I do have a Beverly, and by volunteering for IEEE Smart Cities, I get chance to work with her, and get really mesmerized with the kind of thought process that she has. So I really want her to come up with her question for you.
Oh, okay.
Before we start your technical session. So Beverly, over to you.
Well, thank you. I don't have a question so much as an extension to what Kathleen was saying, and that is, when I speak to my project management colleagues about what they can do at the project team table in their you know, in their local city or even in the city where the client is. I always say, remember, you're a citizen before you're a project manager. At the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, you're a citizen before and after you're a project manager. And it's absolutely true. I mean, we're all. I'm a social scientist. I've received the warmest of welcomes in the engineering community, despite my project well.
Never apologize for that. Don't apologize.
But the advocacy that I have for quality of life in smart cities being the standard that we should all aim for, I've received a much a greater embrace in the engineering community than I have in the project management community. And I think one of the reasons for that is perhaps project managers, and this is not judgment or a dig of any kind, but project managers are hired to do the project, and maybe they don't have as much skin in the game. Maybe they don't have as much down to the level of detail that maybe engineers have. So yeah, to what Kathleen was saying, work has to be local, and for engineers and project managers and everyone else at that team table, remember that you're a citizen before and after you're any of those, you have any of those professional roles.
Absolutely. And you're right, Beverly, that so for me personally, I have, especially now that I have, frankly, what's my greatest job ever is president-elect, is a great job, but time is a zero-sum game.
Oh yeah.
And I probably have that on a slide in here somewhere, because I often explain this to people. One of the most sort of life-changing courses that I took and was game theory.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Before that, I was really transported by an economics class that I took. And you know, you look at the world a different way. And one thing is that time is really a zero-sum game. And so for me, I have on any given day or two, especially as president-elect, I have 3 places I could be.
Yeah.
And so you decide, you have to just, you know, you have to keep to your commitments, and you have to, you know, what's more interesting, more effective, and what's going to change things more.
Yeah.
And with engineers, we have a culture that is engineers just kind of naturally, like, or at least I would say my people have my people are, they want to get things done.
Yeah.
And and so they are less aware, and this is an advantage for any engineer that's trying. They're less aware of these things that you are more naturally aware of.
Yeah.
But they are also a lot more interested in solving the problem.
Yeah.
So it's for me personally, I spend a lot of time, as you might have noticed already, because I didn't know any of these questions ahead of time. I'm thinking about how to persuade and how to, I need to get things, I need to make major changes on what are not immediate problems, but longer term problems and bigger problems, and getting local to global. And so I'm always looking for how to persuade my people and trying to understand my people better.
Well,
so it's you know, we would definitely keep on continuing having this dialogue. Again, I know as a moderator and a host of this particular series, you know, an enchanting topic that Kathleen you selected. It is about cyber physical systems.
Okay.
And it is the way we are advancing technology and the way we are seeing smartification and modernization of cities. We really know the importance of this. And that's why now I would like to hand over floor to you, Kathleen, to talk about your topic, which is advancing technology for smart cities, a cyber physical systems perspective. Here you go,
Great.
Kathleen, all over to you. Thank you so
Well,
much,
thank
Kathleen.
you.
Yeah.
And so I'll just, this was a slide I had for the end of our dialogue because I wasn't sure how much of our dialogue would be, or whether I was just going to have to present. and so I am noting here that, so as you mentioned in my introduction, my first society, I belong to many societies, and it's your job as the president to represent the whole and not just the parts. And but my first society, and the one where I've been an officer for several years, and where my first technical work is Aerospace Electronic Systems Society. And in Aerospace Electronic Systems Society, it's concerned with complex systems, particularly of air, space, land, and sea. And this ends up being navigation, avionics, mobile, electric power, electronics, radar, sonar, telemetry, automatic test, and command and control. And smart cities, as I researched, and the most current list that I found, so I think there's been some different partners, but ComSoc, Control Systems Society, Industry Applications, Powered Energy, Systems Managed Cybernetics Society, and a council. And so I put in purple and bold the ones that I belong to also. So just to establish my support for the activity. And looking at the functional domains of smart cities, I put a circle around the ones that I think that I do work in myself, and which motivated my topic. And so here is my city. And so, as we've mentioned in the dialogue, like, I am very tied to my city. I don't even mention here my IEEE section. So I looked at this from a perspective of my own city. And I am known for the slogan of my city is America's finest city. And so when people ask me, oh, can we do an audio check, Kathleen? And I'll say, here I am in San Diego, America's finest city. And so I'm a booster for my city. And our approach in San Diego to being a smart city is that it's a smart city, and a sustainable city and a smart city is not the same thing. But San Diego's approach to being a smart city is very much directed to sustainability, and a lot of it lives in what's called a climate action plan. And the smart part of it, where they get into being a smart city in particular, is what they refer to under implementation. So to actually become this great city, you need all these things: implementation and monitoring, and in particular, advancing network and energy benchmarking, and like actively monitoring energy and mapping energy all over the city. And we're the 8th largest city in the United States, and a major tech center. And this comes under some of the emphasis here is Clean Tech San Diego, and the Metro Lab network that we participate in, and the 2030 district, where we have a 50% energy reduction goal that we are probably the lead in the United States on achieving. We were an early deployer of LED streetlights, and might have been the first of the IEEE 802 metro area network to literally be a smart city. And we're probably the leader in electronic vehicle and solar power. We have a climate advantage on solar power compared to some places. And a lot of the smart city approaches in San Diego deal with the port, the San Diego port, which is a major port, and the San Diego airport. And then we also, because we're right on the ocean, we're a big center for blue tech. And so we have some extensive sensor systems, cyber physical systems that are dealing with the ocean specifically and the interactions, particularly at the port level and with people in the ocean. And we've also related specifically diversity to, and diversity in many different ways, and an emphasis on equity with active mapping that's in itself a cyber physical system. And so cyber physical systems themselves are, I would describe them as Internet of Things on steroids. And so basically, what Internet of Things is where you have devices that are talking to each other in some way, and you use them to control. The devices can be relatively low-tech devices. And with cyber physical systems, you have basically more cyber, more complex, more integration, and in particular, more physically distributed as a system, and oftentimes very critical systems that are complex. And so my technical work where cyber physical systems come up, and where I have a distinguished lecture that I do on advancing avionics. And avionics are themselves, and so this is a picture to show you. So avionics is a word that is aviation electronics, and you put them together. And so aviation meaning air and space. And if you think about it, in all our systems of air and space, this is a very complex system. And there's a system of traffic management. There's a system of the plane itself or the vehicle itself, the system of how the vehicles interact, and how you don't have people crashing into each other, or drones crashing into vehicles all the time. And there's, at any given point, let's say, I should have checked it this morning, but I'm gonna make up a number and say there's 400 airplanes in the air right now that are carrying hundreds of people, and each of them. And then plus that, you have the smaller vehicles plus the drones. And so this is a very complex system, and the physical parameters of the system are the physical constraints and distribution of the system are part of the system, as opposed to like my documents that are up in the cloud. Like, it is distributed to the cloud, but it's not important like where they are, and that latency isn't so an issue. And with such a complex system, everybody right now is saying AI, let's do more on artificial intelligence, and we have human machine interfaces, and we have humans in the loop, and we have critical safety decision making. And so all of this integration of diverse physical, hardware, and software elements, all of this, so here's an example, just to give you an example of the conventional human intensive ATC is air traffic control paradigm. And so the typical air traffic control paradigm is that there's somebody in a tower at an airport, and they're managing traffic by looking at the radar and telling people, okay, it's your turn to take off, it's your turn to land. And so with drones becoming ubiquitous, and the increase in traffic and the more dense plans, this human-centered decision-making becomes virtually impossible. And so with cyber physical systems, that's what we really have, that we have a lot of combined sensors and devices and very complex safety critical issues at work. And so cyber physical systems for smart cities is almost expected, shall we say. And so there's a federal organization called NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And they say applications in smart cities, including transportation, public safety, data, utilities, agriculture, wireless connections, education, smart buildings, cybersecurity, and privacy. So those are the applications that NIST sees for smart cities. And NIST is saying that there's a need to support standards development processes for smart cities and communities, technologies, and the standard development organizations, and they list specifically ISO, IEEE, and ITU are working on this right now. So before since I knew I was going to come talk to you, I went and interviewed the lead for most of the standards out of IEEE to see what was going on and what was the state of affairs, so that I could share that today. And there's a need to be data driven, and particularly smart city applications like advanced communications, the smart grid electric power, risk management. And then some thoughts that I came across while I was looking into this were, since this is the Women in Smart Cities dialogue, is to mention for women in smart cities, the key is not just equity of access to these resources and services, but safety. And not just safety, but the perception of and the confidence in safety. And so, you know, if I travel a lot for many reasons, including IEEE, and if I feel unable to leave the hotel, if I feel unable to interact with the meeting, it's not really such a great city to me, even if the city is perhaps making a lot of money or having a lot of economic. And so for women in particular, I would say that their definition of a smart city is where they are confident, they're not just safe. And so the argument that, oh, you haven't proven that you're unsafe, it's really that you need to have confidence in your safety on a daily basis and where you could interact. So in terms of the standards for smart cities, there's a lot of information, and then I'm a person, like we mentioned earlier in the dialogue, I'm a get things done kind of person. So there's things that are different stages of getting things done. And so to me, the very best, I love things that you've done a lot more. It's good to talk about things, and it's good to plan, but where have you really implemented things? And because when you implement, that's where the rubber meets the road, as we say in the car-oriented Southern California. And so the metropolitan area networks. So this is a part of 802, and in San Diego specifically, we were among the first to implement this, and we did it for lighting. All of our cities. So with regard to lighting and then individual meters of individual homes, there is a two-way metro area communication control that, and they're probably literally separate networks, but they're interact with our utility. And so that makes it, to me, the most interesting and valuable standard. Whereas a really important one if you look at 1, 2, 3, the fourth bullet down on the left, AI-driven innovation for cities and people. So if you were to pick on this page of many, many words, what sounds the most interesting and exciting on this page, I think our audience would say, oh, that's the most interesting and exciting thing on the page. And it is for the future. But for actual, I think that there's a reason that our social scientist is part of this group, and that there's a vast gap between talking about technology and actually getting something implemented. And so that's why I'm impressed by the relatively lower stakes lighting and the impact of reducing energy and lighting for better security and being able to dynamically respond to needs all over the city of, I think we're a couple of million literally in the city, but the greater city area is more than that. A lot more than that. And the other thing that's very interesting to me here is the smart grid in general, because you're bringing together the 802 computer communications with the power and energy. And so looking at our standards development, IEEE has about 2,000 standards. And so what's really important, there's kind of cultures. And one culture is the power culture, which for IEEE standards, power is all about reliability. And reliability, so do you have if your power is unreliable, what do you have? And you need power for everything. The 802 communications emphasis, though, is interoperability. And so the integration of vastly different networks and the ability to work with different networks. And so what's most interesting to me on this is the integration of those two technical cultures together as a community. And so the opportunity that brings. And so I think that that's very interesting. And those are definitely cyber physical systems. And so that's my technical part that I had today. And I'll go back to some final words. So these were my 5 priorities, and I put bold purple on the 2 that I think we're dealing with today with this event that we're having. And this is just some words for my we people. Just some parting advice to my we's. There, so like I mentioned earlier, I think I have in my slides somewhere, time is the zero-sum game. So we need to think about these things, and this is just some advice I have for my dear friends, and it works for women in engineering, but it also works for everybody else. And so thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kathleen, for keeping it very precise, very apt to this city perspective. And you really have given different dimensions of city and the role of technology for city. And we really got chance to know San Diego through your, presentation, understanding overall journey of San Diego and how they are close to citizens in terms of supporting citizens. So this is the best definition of IEEE as well, the technology for humanity. That's
Yes.
exactly is all over as a part of your presentation. But I see some questions, and 𝐕𝒂
Okay, great.
would like to ask questions because there is a separate channel for questions. So he
All right,
has received questions.
I can't see them, but I'm happy
It's,
to answer them. So
yeah,
just to warn you,
it's with,
I can't see
yeah.
them.
Yeah, so the flow in the rest part of, remaining 7 minutes, we are going to utilize, like we will have question answer, and then we will have a memento of a token of our appreciation, and then I'll hand it over to Beverly for a concluding remarks and a vote of thanks and her vision on DEI under IEEE Smart Cities. So I'm just jotting down the next of the schedule. That's what I'm doing. Over to you, Vibha.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Uh, I do have a question for Dr. Kathleen, ma'am. Actually, we always do endorse clean technology. That we have also, you have also mentioned in the presentation as well, that we are always endorsing the clean tech. And when it comes to smart cities and the implementation of technology, it's not just about talking, it's also about actually implementing it. It is a two-way process between the citizens as well and the technicians, which bring in the technology into the picture. So actually, our being an engineer, my job or my responsibility would be to actually implement and come up with the technology. How can we expect the participation from the citizens from their side as well into developing a proper smart city? That's
Right.
my question.
So that's a good question. And I like that you're thinking about it. And I agree with you that when you have these sustainable solutions, you have everybody wants to be good, but you want to you have to give people, you want to create a winning system. And so the analogy I use is that myself as a professor, of course I want my students to be honest. Of course I don't want to have any cheating in my class. But I have a responsibility when I'm designing the test and the course to not give them any incentives to cheat. So even though they, like, of course, I have only the most honest of students, I could be foolish and set up a situation where students feel that there's a big advantage to them to cheat. And so it's my job to make sure that I can't make a moral decision for a student, but I can make it seem to the student far more trouble to cheat than to study. And when it comes to a lot of sustainability, or in particular waste management and water management. So in San Diego, water is a very big deal. We're naturally a desert, and we're by the ocean, but we're naturally a desert. And if you take the tour around San Diego, the tour will explain to you that there are no native trees to the entire San Diego region except for the Torrey pine, which is a scrubby pine tree that only grows on the coast. And so my point is that, so for water, for us, nobody wants to waste water, but you don't want to set a system up where everybody just agrees that it's good not to waste water. And because individuals will make the supposedly tough call that they should be wasting water. So you have to have monitoring is part of the city's approach, and monitoring is where smart cities are challenge or can provide good technical solutions. On the other hand, it was pointed out to me when I interviewed the 802 standards person that security and privacy are also very important, because by having that kind of extensive monitoring and frankly control, you've also given over a lot of control to the government, and you've made people vulnerable to other control. So these are complex technical issues, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing you're asking the question, but it's not a quick answer.
Yeah, citizen engagement. It's like what, citizen engagement and creating that required, synchronous, coherent
Yes.
ecosystem. That's the need.
Yes.
That's the
So
need. And
That was my
yes,
question.
very much.
Thank
I
you so
agree,
much, ma'am.
Dr.
totally,
Surekha.
totally. Yeah. So I do know Gaurav has got one particular question for you. Over to you, Gaurav, please.
Sure, ma'am. Hi, Kathleen. So thank you for your presentation today. My question being, like being a woman, what's your vision for diversity and inclusion at the workplace, and how IEEE can support diversity and inclusion? Over to you.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know if I have if I would call it a vision. So I see diversity and inclusion as a journey. And so it's like every day, there's, how can we do a little bit better? And what does it, and also sort of the monitoring and goals of what does it mean to do better? So I guess that addresses your vision question. So I think that not just women, but in many ways, so diversity is a local matter. And because where the diversity challenges are depend very much on your local ecosystem. And so it's very easy to make judgments, oh, you should have more of this or more of that, and have these numbers. But the numbers need to be based on local reality of who you have. So I could complain bitterly of Pune's failure to have enough Norwegians in there, but it could just be there just aren't any Norwegians in Pune, or very few, especially in the summer. So I think we need to set our goals based on real data, and they need to be advancing us forward and to be achievable. Of course, it's a given that we need to create an atmosphere of respect. I would say that we live our lives and we live our professional lives how we model. And I want people, yes, women are important. And when I say women are important, I mean women in tech are important. And so I really object to steering technical women into non-technical roles. I think it's wonderful for Beverly to be a project manager. I don't think it's wonderful to tell someone getting a degree in engineering that she should just be a project manager because she has soft skills. And so that I think we want to advance ourselves technically and to consider ourselves to be advancing technically on an ongoing basis. And I see another major aspect of diversity besides women, and women is arguably, if you look at my volunteer history and say my friends, I favor the women, the industry. And so those of us who are academics, and I confess to being a professor, we have a natural economic, if you will, motivation for our involvement. And so we really want to do more to make sure that IEEE is reflecting and supporting our industry and advancing industry and the people that are choosing that pathway. And so by providing opportunities even for us lowly academics to work together and to have that true integration.
Yeah, very well said, Catherine. Very well said. One thing that I really admire you for is you're straight from heart.
Oh,
It is
yes.
quite an intelligent, sleek, articulated point of view, which comes straight from heart. So it always speaks about truth, the real truth. And that's very important. You need definitely extra courage also sometimes to speak the truth. And when you talk of diversity and inclusivity, it's like city itself is the best example of diversity and inclusivity because these are inherent characteristic of any city.
Yes.
And as we are part of IEEE Smart Cities and IEEE Pune section coming together is again the best example of demonstrating diversity. Diverse teams are coming together to be able to accomplish this task of launching this series, Women in Smart Cities. So
Very
continuing
much so.
the thread, yeah, Kathleen.
So I just think I just wanted to add to that when I was the diversity and inclusion chair for Region 6, the Western US. And my lesson then in that role was diversity is local and very much local. And so, and smart cities, by definition, a city is local. And
Yeah.
so I see there's some great opportunity for some smart people, including some smart women, to do some good work in this area.
So that's an open offer, and I do grab this opportunity to accept this offer because at Pune City, we work very closely with Pune Municipal Corporation, a smart city office, where we work along with them in the space of energy and environmental engineering. So we have established special interest group locally to be
Yes.
able to establish projects and, including, of course, building our partner ecosystem with colleges, NGOs, startups, and experts who come with the background of energy and environmental engineering. So this is how we are building our local stories, and we are absolutely open for collaboration with other cities across the globe, including, of course, India. No doubt about it. That's my home nation. So
Yeah.
here is, offer from our side. So now with this good amount of positive, promises, now let me hand over session to Beverly for conclusion. And
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing so that Beverly can get more.
More screen
Yes.
screen coverage.
Part of me wishes that you wouldn't share and that you would just keep talking. I'm enjoying this very much. But thank you so much. I would, in fact, very much like to simply extend what Kathleen has been saying, and that the world of diversity and equity and inclusion is a journey, and that the journey starts, in my view, with awareness. And that awareness can lead to action, and action can lead to change and a new reality. And in the world of smart cities, I find that at the most basic level, awareness is where we're at least from my research. I did start, Kathleen, my life in project management. But at my second PhD that I just finished, sort of, I think, really cemented me toward the world of research and applied research in particular. And it was that look at the role of projects in achieving or in contributing to quality of life in smart cities that revealed to me the lack of awareness in the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. For example, I gathered project details, almost 5,000 projects from around the world, and I did all sorts of analysis, and that was great. But after I did the required analysis, I took another look at this data set, ask myself some basic questions. Where are women represented in the project descriptions? Never mind the goals, never mind anything else, but just in the project description.
Mhm.
Where are where is the aging population represented? Where are members of LGBTQ communities represented? And the numbers were breathtakingly low. It was almost like the needs of women and aging citizens and those that demand social justice weren't even on the minds of the project managers.
Mm.
And that I was disappointed, but that also revealed to me an enormous opportunity to, perhaps it's a question of simply communicating better. Perhaps those decisions and those reflections are there and they simply haven't been communicated well. Perhaps that's it.
Perhaps not.
Perhaps not, but perhaps it's the awareness needed for like in your slide about traffic management and cyber physical, the implications of cyber physical systems and projects. I noticed that you highlighted the provision to entrepreneurs and advancing opportunities for entrepreneurs, most of whom are men.
Right.
And I'm wondering where the work of smart city researchers and smart city engineers could also look at the gender lens through those systems perspectives. So the world of DEI is certainly about women, but it's also really, it demands of us that we look at the entirety of the human experience and the human spectrum. It is my utter pleasure to sort of find a home in the IEEE world. And I'm in no way apologizing for being a social scientist. I'm just delighted to be having conversations with people like yourselves and engineers who at the project table are given pause when I say, this happened during my research, and are given pause when I ask them, right, so that lighting installation in the parking complex of the city of Calgary that you're also excited about, justifiably, what would your daughter say? What would your sister say? What would your mother say about that lighting installation? Would they be excited that the parking meter can tell them weather, or would they be excited about the fact that it now represents a safe place for them to park their car? I think the world of DEI it's challenging. You know, it's not going to be a moment for celebration every step of the way. But through the DEI work of the Smart Cities technical community, one of my first goals is to create partnerships with IPMA and PMI, for example, so that we can learn from each other and directly influence those project team table conversations, even if it's something simple as asking the question, would your daughter feel safe? Or would your, these things are triggers and can raise awareness. I very much want to, forgive me, not I, we want to build bridges with other researchers, social scientists, perhaps being the first collection, but it does reinforce and provide new insights that I think, as we saw today, can influence many kinds of conversations. The world of entrepreneurial, activities, I feel about women entrepreneurs as I think you do about women engineers, that supporting them supports families, supports communities, and beyond. I also want to, in a more, I don't know, practical way, is practical or pragmatic is a better way of putting it. We're all very clever people. We all offer, I'm an associate professor at my university. We're in the knowledge creation and knowledge sharing business. It's a very nice business to be in. But for the city planners and the city builders and the city advocates who perhaps need tools and resources and methods that they can then use as they sit at City Hall, as they sit, with citizen advocacy groups. What can we do as technical communities and as researchers to build those to create those practical tools and methods? Perhaps one place to start is with standards. I think ISO and the smart city and smart community standards out of ISO are tremendously rich and a good place to start, perhaps. But also the rainbow cities here in Western Europe. The Rainbow Cities is a network of LGBTQ cities that have created a collection of guidelines for municipalities. This set, there are more than 100 recommendations and guidelines online right now that, if combined with technical solutions or the kind of expertise and systems-oriented thinking that this community can provide, then maybe we have real solutions, actual living, breathing solutions. So I can't think of a better way to start the DEI committee activity within smart cities. And those are a few of my thoughts, and my partner in crime here and I will be working very, very hard over the next however many months and years to turn these ideas into something real.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's been really overwhelming to know about your vision, your mission, and your ideas of bringing in DEI in reality under IEEE Smart Cities umbrella. All of us are over here to contribute significantly. Now here is the time to conclude this session and express tons of our thanks to Kathleen Kramer for actually accepting our request, for being the first speaker for this series, for launching this series and supporting our efforts so promisingly. I really owe a big thank you to you. And now let me request my colleague to present a virtual token of our appreciation. And I promise that when you'll come to Pune next year, you are definitely going to see the best part of this world, and you will get a memorable experience along with us. So on behalf of entire team, I really want to thank Kathleen for being part of this particular session. And it has been really wonderful 1.5 hours. So most important part is your time. We value your time and we really respect your time. Thank you very much. So we can have one quick photo, and then it would be a good conclusion for this session. So if you stop sharing, we can get into the grid mode, and then let's take a nice smiling photos. I think Bharka sir or Vibha would be clicking the photos. We need to know once it is done, how long we will keep on smiling.
We don't want to be blinking.
No.
It's done, I think. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Thank you so much. Let's meet you someday.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. It was a delight to meet you, Beverly and Vidya. Thank you so much, and Gaurav. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vidya Madam, Gaurav, Dr. Mandar, and Vibha. Bye, Beverly. Thank you so much.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, our participants, for joining the call. Thank you very much.
Oh, she's gone. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.